Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Pot's Movie Dungeon. I am here with another review from the dungeon. This time I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite action movies from the 80s. This is an amazingly underrated movie, one that I wish would get a Blu-ray release. I waited and waited for this to get a Blu-ray, and it never did, so I ended up having to pick up this DVD. I had this DVD, I had this VHS back in the day, I don't know what happened to it, so I ended up having to rebuy this DVD from Amazon. I don't remember what I paid for this, it was dirt cheap, like 12, 13 bucks. This movie is a really high recommend for me. I've always enjoyed this movie. The idea that this does not have a Blu-ray release or even a 4K release, it just blows my mind. This would be something really, really great. I would love to see Kino Lorber put out. But we can talk more about that later. The way I do it with these reviews is I'm going to pop this movie in, I'm going to watch it, and just as soon as I'm done watching it, I'm going to jump back there on the computer. I'm going to give you my immediate thoughts after revisiting this film for probably the dozenth time. If you guys have not seen this, I think you can watch it free on YouTube. Again, you can buy it dirt cheap. It might be on streaming somewhere, but I know the last time I checked, this was free to watch on YouTube. Thank y'all so much for clicking on the video. I'm going to pop this movie in, give it another watch. I'll be back in just a minute to give you my immediate thoughts. You guys stay tuned. I'll be back in just a minute.
Prepare yourselves. Okay, let's run.
All the action, all the stars, all available now. Great movies at low prices on video and DVD.
Why are you doing this? It's complicated.
I'm the commander of the ship. Give me the key.
Hell yeah. You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Why are they after me? You have something they want. Give me back my son.
I see dead.
You're ready to rock and roll. Movie Showcase. Great movies at low prices on video and DVD.
So as you can see, this is a very bare bones release. No special features whatsoever. But I'm excited to check this out. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so I just finished Shoot to Kill. And like I said before, I've seen this movie so many times in the past. It's been a while since I watched it, but it was so fun going back and revisiting this movie again. I really, really highly recommend this movie. It is such a great time, such a great 80s action movie. This movie was directed by Roger Spottiswoode, which I really didn't recognize the name, but I went back and looked at some of his filmography, and he's done some really great stuff. He directed Terror Train, the 1980 slasher classic with Jamie Lee Curtis. He also directed quite a few other movies you guys probably heard of. He directed a movie called The Best of Times with Robin Williams and Kurt Russell. The movie came out in 1986. It's a really underrated movie. I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but go back and check that one out. It's a fantastic movie. You know, he directed this one here, obviously Shoot to Kill, Turner and Hooch, Air America, the Sylvester Stallone classic Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. He directed that. He directed The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He also directed a James Bond movie, Tomorrow Never Dies. And he did quite a few other stuff. There's a lot of stuff I hadn't seen. But he was also one of the writers on the Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte classic 48 Hours. So the guy's got a pretty good filmography. But the movie came out in 1988. It's got a fantastic cast. The main two stars of the movie is Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger. Now, Sidney Poitier had taken a break from acting for about 10 years. He came back and did this role here because he's never really done an action film, a movie that just had a lot of crazy stunts. He wanted to come back and do an action film. He said he wanted to do something a little different. So he came back and did this movie. After he did this, he did a couple other roles, and then he kind of disappeared from Hollywood again. Now, I know that Sidney Poitier just passed away in 2022. He was a great actor. I will admit I have not seen a lot of his movies, but he was a really big actor back in I think like the 60s and 70s. But this here was a totally different type of role for him. Now, his co-star in this, Tom Berenger, I've always been a big fan of Tom Berenger. I really wish he would have done more movies as the lead role. Everything I've always seen him in, Major League, Platoon, a couple that come to mind, he's always done a fantastic job, and he does a really good job in this. Now, rounding out the rest of the cast in this, you have Kirstie Alley. She just passed away recently. Rest in peace. I always enjoy Kirstie Alley. She was never one of my favorites. I first knew her from Cheers, Look Who's Talking, all that shit back in the day. You also got Clancy Brown. Now, I'm a huge Clancy Brown fan. I've said this in the past. I believe that anything that Clancy Brown is in, he elevates the movie. Even if the movie's not great, I always enjoy Clancy Brown. If he's in something, most of the time I'm going to check it out. He also does a fantastic job in this as well. You have Richard Mazur. You may not recognize that name, but the first time I ever met him was back in the day, way back in the day. He played Ann Romano's boyfriend on the show One Day at a Time. He was like in the first like 1 or 2 seasons of that show. And then later on, I seen him, of course, in The Thing. I put his picture up here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. He was in The Thing. He also was the dad in License to Drive, the two Coreys movie from the 80s. Fantastic comedy. So he's a great actor. He's been in a ton of other stuff as well. You also got Angie Robinson in this. He played the dad in Hellraiser. He was a Scorpio killer in Dirty Harry, which is, I think, is about where he got his start from. So the basic premise of the movie starts out where you have a guy who's breaking into a diamond store. You find out that it's his diamond store. He's going in there middle of the night in his pajamas, grabbing all these diamonds and trying to, get away. He ends up setting the alarm off, and you come to find out that basically there's a bad guy back at his mansion that's holding his wife hostage, and he has to go get all these diamonds, whatever, basically, or the guy's going to kill his wife. Now, you have the FBI showing up, whatever, being led by Sidney Poitier. They go back to the guy's house. You have the bad guy on the inside with the wife, and they're trying to work out a deal to trade the diamonds for the wife. Now, in the process of this, the bad guy tells them that, look here, as they're trying to negotiate, the bad guy tells them that they want Sidney Poitier by himself to go to an undisclosed location with the diamonds to do a trade for the wife. Everything goes kind of south. The bad guy gets away, and it kind of cuts to the next scene where you have the bad guy trying to cross the Canadian border. In the process of doing this with roadblocks and such like that, he cuts off on a side road. He ends up in like this little fishing camp, camping site, whatever it is. But one of the fishermen are already there. You find out that he's going to be part of a fishing party that's going to be led by Kirstie Alley. Well, the bad guy shows up. One of the guys are already there. He ends up killing this guy, assuming his identity in order to join this fishing expedition or whatever you want to call it, so he can try to get across the Canadian border. The way he kills this guy is similar to what he does earlier in the movie, and Sidney Poitier is notified because at this point the FBI has got a nationwide manhunt trying to find this guy. So Sidney Poitier comes and finds out that when they find the body, the way he killed this guy is similar to what happened earlier in the movie. And so they realize that this guy has joined this fishing party, and that's led by Kirstie Alley, and he's got to try to track him down. The local sheriff tells him that Kirstie Alley's boyfriend is probably his best chance to finding this guy. He's a local tracker, mountain man, played by Tom Berenger. So Sidney Poitier goes and finds Tom Berenger. Tom Berenger at this point is already freaking out, trying to get everything packed up so he can go and track down his girlfriend. They got about a 2-day lead on him at this point. Sidney Poitier tells him, "You're not going without me." You got the whole, the whole back and forth where you have the big city FBI agent, the local mountain man that wants to go do it on his own. They have some back and forth. Don't really like each other very much. Tom Berenger's telling him, "No, you can't go with me. You're just going to slow me down. We're not going to be taking any wimpy trails. You've never been out in the woods before." Of course, Sidney Poitier says, "You don't have the knowledge to track down this killer. I'm an FBI agent. You're not going without me," etc., etc. Their relationship's really rocky to start off with, but the way it builds as they go into the wilderness and have to rely on each other, the whole movie they're just one step behind Kirstie Alley and the party. And one thing about this movie that I really enjoyed is the entire time that it cuts to Kirstie Alley and her fishing party that she's leading, you never know which one of these guys is the killer. And they do a fantastic job of making you kind of guess the first time you watch this who is the killer. And when you finally found out what all happens with that, it's just crazy as hell. It's a whole lot of fun, very, very entertaining. And they just do a really good job of keeping you in the dark, whatever, until you finally find out who the killer is. Because what happens is when the bad guy, who you see just a glimpse of in the beginning, he's got long hair, a long beard, all this kind of shit. Well, you find out after he kills the guy back in the fishing village that he had cut his hair, try to look like a normal guy to blend in with everybody else in the fishing expedition. And so, like I said, you don't know who this guy is. And when they finally reveal who it is, it's absolutely nuts, whatever. It's pretty wild. So the entire time you have Tom Berenger and Sidney Poitier right on the fucking tail of Kirstie Alley and the guys in the party. And the majority of the rest of the movie is them trying to catch up with them. I really can't say what happens at the end because I don't want to give it away. But let's just say whatever that it pays off really well. It's got a runtime of about 1 hour and 50 minutes, something like that. The movie never drags. It never gets boring. It's entertaining throughout the entire film. They do a really good job of mixing the action scenes with the comedy scenes. There's enough of both, whatever, to really just make this a very well-rounded movie. It's a great action movie from the 80s. There's a ton of those type of movies. This one here really holds up, and I feel like it really don't get talked about anymore like it should. I really do hope this gets a Blu-ray release. I can see Kino Lorber putting out a fantastic release of this. Maybe get some old interviews from Sidney, Poitier, Kirstie Alley. Some new interviews with like Tom Berenger would be fantastic. Pretty much any kind of special features would be a bonus because you don't really have anything on this standard DVD, as I showed you earlier. But I really hope that one day we do get some love for this film. I think it really deserves it. If you have not seen this film, like I said before, you can get this free on YouTube right now. The last time I checked, you can pick this up from Amazon. Like I said, it's just a DVD, but you can pick it up from Amazon for right around $12. I really do recommend that you check this movie out. If you want to watch it before you blind buy it, check it out on YouTube. Just go ahead and just pick up the movie. Maybe the more these DVDs sell, the better chance we'll have, whatever, of getting a Blu-ray down the road. But that's going to be my review of Shoot to Kill. Fantastic movie. High recommend. Thank y'all so much for watching the video. I'll be back with some more reviews very soon. You guys take care, and I will see y'all next time with some more reviews from the dungeon.